What a groovy little tune, and very princess-like, which is quite cool really, because now it's time for yet another fairy tale starring a real prince and a long short list of princesses. It's entitled The Princess on the Pea, so on with the show. Once upon a time, there was a prince who earnestly wished he had a princess all his own. And quite rightly so, thought Her Highness, his mother, the Queen. Shall we carry on? Because as far as she was concerned, the sun shone out of his crown. Well, there were no end of princesses to choose from who all thought the same and who were quite hot for a little prince as cool as he. But not just any old princess would do for our prince. No, for she had to be the real deal. What about this one? He said. That one's quite a cutie, don't you think? Yes. Yes, it took them ages to find some likely candidates whom the prince fancied enough. These two. But more importantly, some who fit the picture enough to be invited over. Oh, really? He remarked to the first princess who came by for tea. But have you heard the one about the The prince pulled out all the stops in impressing her with the funniest stories he could remember. And she was quite impressed. But the prince wasn't quite bowled over. I mean, was this how a princess really should sound when she laughs? Or what? I mean, what are these poor darlings supposed to sound like? He pondered. The prince was really excited about the next contender coming to dine at the palace, because by all accounts she was the quiet type. But, oh dear, not this quiet surely, for she hadn't said a dicky bird all the way through the meal. So even though they all looked like his vision of the real thing, all the same, there were none who quite cut the cake. Now it was time to try a new tactic, thought the Queen, in order to get their royal hands on the one and only. So, to show the whole world of princesses who this masterpiece of a princely son of hers was who was up for grabs, she had his portrait painted by none other than the trendiest portrait painter of the time, in a very modern style. But style has many faces, and was this the face of her son? Whatever, the portrait was nevertheless packed off, and soon the day arrived when the prince bade farewell. Well then.
Good luck, me lad.
After the Queen had waved her goodbyes, all she could do now was wait and hope that he'd find the perfect match. As long as she's striking. Oh, so adorable. The prince rode far and wide out into the world, and was amazed at the sheer amount of fair maidens he and his horse almost ran into. But there was nothing for it but to continue on. Yes, on his horse, Henry. He passed through towns both great and small, and bumped into many a fine princess. Tasty, yes, isn't he? But were they real princesses, he thought?
That's brilliant! Gosh, super!
They were all so very, well, different. Yes? No one quite made the royal grade, you see. So he soon grew weary of the whole affair, for of all the fair princesses he'd met, not one, so to speak, could knock him off his horse. Finally, he could take no more, so it was a resigned and sad prince who then gave up his quest, only to return home with loving arms empty of a princess wife. That night, a nightmare of a storm blew up, and it was a tired prince who fell deeply asleep into a dream of his own making. But what? Who is that?
Yes, I'm coming.
I'm sorry to be bothering you so late, but the weather... I desperately need shelter for the night.
And whom should I have the pleasure of announcing?
Oh, silly me. I'm the princess. Well, the king couldn't believe his ears.
But of course, my dear. Do come in.
Suddenly, the serving maidens were in full swing when the queen commanded a bed be made ready, lest the princess should catch her death from a right royal dose of the flu. And everyone was flabbergasted. Could this be true, this unexpected beauty out of the blue, a princess? And more importantly, now we'll see if she's a real princess. A small pea, the size of a pea, was laid on the bed, and then no less than 20 mattresses laid on top of it. More, please. And, just for good measure, a further 20 of the finest eiderdowns you could imagine were laid on top to top the whole thing off. By now their special guest was warm and comfortable, and dreaming of climbing into the bed which awaited her. May I wish you a sweet dream of a sleep, my dear? Your Majesty. Oh, I hope so. Good night. Good night, Princess. Good night. But it was not meant to be, for the princess tossed and turned in her sleep, as indeed everyone else did that night in the palace, as, believe it or not, they all dreamt of real princes and real princesses. Next morning, everyone rose early. "Good morning," said the Queen. The princess, too, was by now awake.
Good morning, Your Majesty.
Oh, and how did the princess sleep last night? Oh, so dreadfully. In fact, it was a nightmare. I haven't closed an eye all the night. I wonder what was in the bed. I must have laid in something hard. I'm both black and blue all over the whole of me. And this was how it came about that the prince finally got himself a real princess. I mean, who other than a real princess could feel all the way down through 20 of the finest mattresses and 20 of the ultra finest of eider-downs, may I ask? Oh, by the way, I almost forgot to tell you that later the pea was put on show in the finest museum in the land, and unless you have eaten it, then, well, I'd wager it's still there this very day.